See how long before it falls over, though.
Yeah. That would be funny. It would be a funny cut.
That'd be good. That'd be a nice cut to use.
Yeah. It's been a long day.
Yeah, for sure. Hey everyone, welcome to special What Does That Piece Do on the scene at CircleDC 2024. I'm here with Joe Dewhurst. Thank you for joining me here.
Hi, Joe. The two Joes together.
Two Joes together at last. You got the more Joes the better for sure. And first time meeting, so this has been great. Just hanging out with other Joe and lots of other folks here. How has this been going for you so far this week?
It's been absolutely fantastic, really brilliant. Met loads of people who I've been working with online for years, and it's just really wonderful to hang out and play some games.
Yeah, awesome. I feel the same way. Meeting tons of people, that I've known, met online over the years, and designers and people I haven't interacted with even. It's been a great, fun day and a half so far, and at least another full day, probably for most of us tomorrow. So what are you testing out here, though, and what are you showcasing?
So we're doing Cross Bronx Expressway. I did one big session of that yesterday, got another one tomorrow. That was really great. Went very smoothly. That's nearly done, so we're doing final quality control kind of testing, and it was great to be able to watch people playing physically, interacting with it. That's pretty important. Lennon's Legacy as well, which is very fun. Joe is very good at the game. You tried it yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, I got spanked twice in a row. Yeah.
So those are the two main ones I'm demoing, and then like a few other little bits and pieces, trying out some stuff as well. I got to play Hammer and Sickle yesterday, which was really cool, with both Jasons and with Kevin Bertram, organizer of the convention. I smashed them all, so that was great.
Wicked. Good old time there. You seem to be involved in a lot of stuff, especially with GMT, doing a lot of play testing, organizing development, even designing yourself. So you seem to be quite the rising star in the GMT orbit, at least. Is there anyone, do you think, that's touched even more games than you at this point?
At GMT, possibly Jason Carr. So Jason's head of development at GMT, and he likes to get his little sticky fingers over everything. So he'll try and get his name on it. He's involved in quite a lot. I think otherwise at GMT, I'm probably involved in the most. I'm doing a couple of things with other companies as well. So I've got Chicago 68. It's just been announced with Dietz, and we're actually playing that next door right now. With Yoni Goldstein, another rising star, I'd say, a great young designer. And I have a few other projects in the works, none of them here today.
Cool, awesome. So lots going on there. So can you tell me a little bit more about how, where, why did your game development career, how did it get started?
So I got started actually working with Jason again at GMT, doing some testing for a few games. So the first was Fall of Saigon, the Fire and the Lake expansion, and some other things. And I did quite a lot of that, quite rigorous testing and some things, and eventually asked Jason how he got the job, and it turned out that he was looking to employ someone as a developer, and he said I'd be great for it. And I think particularly it's because I was such an irritating tester that there's that kind of mindset and those kind of skills. I think I invaded Saigon and Fall of Saigon about 12 times just to prove that one thing wasn't quite working right. Just did it over and over and over again.
You're the ultimate stress tester.
A little obsessive, exactly.
Right.
That's how I got into it. And then Jason's been great for the last few years, kind of mentoring me, building me up, and now I feel like I have a good idea what I'm doing.
Do you think working on development has helped inform your game design and vice versa?
I mean, it's given me a great insight into the whole industry and how things work. It hasn't made me question my own design skills, but it's made me appreciate that there are some really good designers, and it's really great to be able to work with them. And I'm going to continue designing, but I enjoy the development, and I like that kind of work.
So if someone said they wanted to get in design and hasn't quite done any yet, do you think helping develop games first is going to help them? What would you say to maybe encourage someone to look at development if that's maybe something that's more up their alley?
So I wouldn't necessarily, I certainly wouldn't encourage all designers to try development. I think it's a very different skill set. Case in point, Fred Saval, good friend of both of ours, great designer. He'd be an absolutely terrible developer. He is technically the developer on some of my games, but it's more of an honorary title, like executive producer or something, because he just doesn't have the discipline and the focused mindset. He's a bit of a chaotic guy.
It's just, our brains work differently, right?
Exactly.
And certain skill sets.
So I wouldn't encourage everyone. Some designers would be great at it, for sure. And I think it would be good to try it. It can be a bit of a thankless task sometimes as well. You don't get the glory, you just have to do the hard work.
But would a designer gain the appreciation of what a developer could do? What a developer has to go through if they tried that
That's
first,
right, So I would certainly want designers to be aware of what developers do and can offer them. I think that's important. And what I would encourage designers to do is to do some playtesting of other people's games. Because I think if you're a new designer, that's a great way to firstly like learn more about design, learn more about the process and about what goes on, and it also kind of gets you known by people in a way that's helpful. So you'll earn some goodwill and you'll get to know some of the people working in the different companies.
It's networking, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just filling in different roles and stuff. And when you're a designer and you're playtesting other people's games, then you can steal ideas from them before they're even out, right?
Yeah. Steal, borrow,
Borrow,
exactly.
right.
Yeah. No, that's right. And you can learn a lot more about other ideas. Yeah.
So you got a lot of games about like guerrilla revolutions, peasant uprisings, communists and stuff. They all seem to be in your wheelhouse. So who or what radicalized you?
Yeah, it's a funny story and something I've thought about a lot over the years, and it actually goes back to a youth group I was part of in the UK called the Woodcraft Folk, who are kind of like a socialist or left-wing alternative to the Scouting movement, and they were set up at the same time or just after the Scouting movement in the UK, particularly on the point of gender segregation. So you can have both boys and girls in the Woodcraft Folk, but also encompassing some political currents in the early 20th century and environmental currents and things like this. And in quite a soft way, the adults in this organization had a big influence on me, I think, and a lot of those ideas have really stuck with me.
Interesting.
Yeah, even just some of the songs we would sing about radicals during the English Civil War and things like this, which has just stuck with me. Yeah.
That's cool. It's a good way to learn. Yeah, I think about that too because I was in Scouts and Cubs, and it seems it's very militaristic. It's all based on some myths of Baden-Powell and Rudyard Kipling's books. So there's some elements of it that are a little questionable as it is. So it's cool to hear. I'd never heard of that movement before. So that's really cool. So a good way to learn is growing up. So what role do you think then that tabletop games serve as far as teaching history or understanding history?
Yeah, good question. I think there's two things. So one is just making people aware of subjects they might not have heard of. So you can learn about something new and read some of the history and just look at the cards and think okay, what's going on with this, and then maybe read some background material. It isn't a substitute for the books or the documentaries, I'd say, but it's more like a way in. The thing that games can do, which is more unique, is get you to think about the kind of historical dynamics and systems and agency. So it's a very unique tool, I think, for getting you to understand what kind of tools people had at the time to make change or to make things work or to succeed at different things, and also how their actions might have certain kinds of consequences and certain kind of feedback. So it can make you feel that in a way that a book or a documentary might not. And I would, it's good, I think, for historical game designers if they want to make serious games like that to lean into those strengths of the medium, not just to present the history as a textbook might.
Yeah, it's got its usage, right?
Yeah,
it's sort of like applied learning almost.
Yeah,
just getting your hands dirty with it. Yeah. So what else are you looking forward to then the rest of this weekend?
So I'm hopefully just about to grab you and some others to show you the potential fourth entry in the ICS series, which is a sci-fi game, sci-fi irregular conflict game. We're going to have a look at that. I want to try and take a look at Volko's Coast Watchers at some point.
Okay, that's what was on the table just a few minutes ago.
Might try to grab that, and anything else that comes along, really.
Awesome, good. Just ride it out and enjoy the somewhat lovely weather here in DC. What we can. We've been inside a lot, but having some time to just hang out with people and debrief afterwards too would be really good. So well, I'm glad you could make it. I'm glad we got to hang out, and thanks for joining me here. And say bye to everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers.